Nigeria's gross domestic product (GDP) grew by 3.13% year-on-year in real terms in the first quarter of 2025. This is according to the latest report by the National Bureau of Statistics. On Monday, according to the Bureau, this represented an improvement of over the 2.27% growth recorded in the corresponding period of 2024.
The NBS in its Q1 2025 GDP report said the economic performance in the quarter was driven mainly by the services and industry sectors. The report read, gross domestic product grew by 3.13% year-on-year in real terms in the first quarter of 2025. This growth rate is higher than the 2.27% recorded in the first quarter of 2024. Meanwhile, the country's GDP as of 2019 has been rebased to 205 trillion naira.
Well, this was according to Statistician General of the Federation Adeyemi Adeniran. The figure, according to him, showed an increase of 41.7% compared to the figures obtained during the 2014 GDP rebasing exercise. The National Bureau of Statistics has recalibrated the way we calculate GDP, and what we now see is growth. But is it real growth or just a statistical glow-up? I'm sure you're also wondering when we say rebase and we're talking about growth and so on and so forth. But never worry, we do have joining us this morning the Executive Chairman, the 16th Council UK Founder, Africa Economic Summit, Dr. Briam Reuben joins us this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So as usual, I'm going to go straight to simplicity, trying as much as possible to simplify this, especially for our viewers and those who are possibly wondering what rebase simply means, looking at the previous GDP and the current GDP that we do have, and the fact that Nigerians in certain quarters are already celebrating Q1. Can you make sense out of this so we can truly benefit from it?
Yeah, absolutely. So to rebase an economy basically means to update it. It doesn't mean that anything has changed, but the lens through which you're looking at that economy has changed. Because you see, over time, things change, consumer spending pattern, the structure of the economy, new people getting into the economy, all of this happen. And periodically, it's standard practice actually periodically to update, to rebase the economy, which is just simply updating, as I did say. And the newly rebased GDP figures marks a pivotal moment on how we understand and engage with the Nigerian economy, because by updating the base year to 2019, the data now reflects the true scale and diversity of economic activities, especially as we see in services, real estate, digital sectors that were previously undercounted. The rebasing now reveals that the Nigerian economy is not only larger than what we thought, but also undergoing a fundamental transformation. And that means shifting away from oil dependence towards a more diversified and dynamic model. This growth that we see, the growth rate of, I think about 3.13% in Q1, driven largely by services and industry, confirms that there is an ongoing transition. However, though I will have to say that while the numbers, the headline numbers has improved, the real challenge lies in translating this updated economic picture into policies that boost productivity, expand formalization, and improve citizens' livelihood. Basically, it's important to understand that rebasing is a standard, economic practice. In fact, it's long overdue in Nigeria because in places like the UK and the US, they don't just rebase based on fixed term. They rebase as it's necessary. 5 years mostly, an economy should be rebased, and standard practice everywhere. So this is very important. It's not a mere turning numbers around. The economy needs to be updated, because there are a lot of reasons why that has to happen. Now, this is not the first time. The first time Nigeria rebased the economy was in 1975, and then again in 2014. using 2010 as a base year. And since then, this is the next time. That's more than a decade, all right? So rebasing is a very fundamental economic practice.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. I mean, it was long overdue, the rebasing of the economy. But now let's talk about this 3.13% growth that we're seeing. How much of it is as a result of the rebasing of the economy, and how much of it is actual economic activity?
Okay, so you see, like I did say, the rebasing of the economy doesn't mean that anything has changed. Rebasing actually just shows you what's already happening, all right? So look at it, 2010, and that's the last time we did this, right? So over time, a lot has changed. What rebasing does is not to change the economy, is to change how you look at it. You see, for example, sectors like digital services, fintech, and all of that could not have been accurately captured. This has given us a chance to capture that and its impact. Look at real estate, for example, and what the implications of that represent. So the 3% growth, it's not as a result, it's not because we rebased, all right? But the rebasing has given us a chance to see what the economy truly looks like. That's what rebasing does for you. It doesn't change the facts or structure of the economy. It just shows you what the economy is looking like.
Now, Dr. Briam Reuben, you did say that this 3.1% growth, a lot of it, the sector responsible for a lot of the huge percentage of this growth was the service sector. How do we translate this, or can this growth account for employment into the service industry? Is there any way that the figures that we've seen and the industry responsible for it can help reduce unemployment in the country, unemployment levels?
Well, rebasing gives everybody, the government, international organizations, a chance to see what an economy looks like. So rebasing is useless except you take action based on it. For example, if you just mentioned a sector, it should guide government decision to know what action to take, right? If you see the service sector growing, for example, which is not a very good thing, by the way, for an economy like Nigeria with a population of over 200 million people, right? We should see more of manufacturing, we should see more of factories and all of that. But when we see services growing, that's a very good indicator. However, it gives the government a chance to come up with the right policies, formulate policies that can address the discoveries that we have seen as a result of rebasing the economy. So to that extent, yes, it will guide government decision. It will help government understand what areas to give better attention to. That's what rebasing does in this sense.
All right, let's look at the aspect of Nigeria's dependence on oil and gas. Can we now say that we're starting to shift away from that? And the current economic situation, we are not certain what will happen to oil prices globally. How will this impact on the rebasing, the economy bouncing back, and especially the celebration that's going on for Q1?
Okay, fantastic. So what's fascinating about this is the reshuffling of economic rankings. For decades, Nigeria's economy has been perceived as overwhelmingly oil dependent. Now, with agriculture trailing behind services, based on the current figures, or while oil remains critical, oil dependence with agriculture, the rebased data, reveals that crop production and trade are top performers, contributing over 17% and 17.2%, I think thereabout, respectively, to the economy in 2019. We also see telecommunications. That accounts for nearly up to 7% of the GDP. And then we're seeing the rise of real estate to a top place, which speaks volumes about urban growth and increased economic activity beyond formal sectors. So it highlights how Nigeria is rapidly urbanizing, all right, and how informal housing and property market drive wealth creation, even if this does not offer always enter official records. But again, you know that while we rejoice about the figures, that's again, it's not enough really, because like I did say, it is about what we do with what the economy, is now showing us that truly matter. We have seen this. It's not so hurry yet. Government has, again, it gives us the advantage because you see also we live in a world where narratives have become very important. So to that extent, the rebasing is very important because the narratives are now used as official economic statecraft. It's not just about what you have, but also how you are able to tell the story. So Nigeria can now say, tell stories like, look, the economy is as large as this, and the economy is growing. So that should boost investor confidence. And if that works, when we use this narrative, we can also attract investment into the country. But as I did say, that is not sufficient. It is good that we know what the economy looks like exactly. It can help us in dealing with a lot of issues, all right, with international organizations, with investors, and in making policy decisions. But it's not sufficient, to move the economy forward. It depends on what we do with it.
Yeah, Dr. Briam Reuben, you said it's not enough to just celebrate these figures. The government needs to act on it. If you were in an advisory position to the economic planners in Nigeria, what needs to be done to make this translate into real purchasing power for the ordinary people, and what do we need to do to maintain this positive trajectory and also improve on it?
Well, the rebasing sets a new baseline for Nigeria's economic trajectory. It positions the country more firmly. Yeah, I know Nigeria is still the fourth largest economy, but that title can solidify. We solidify that with consistent reforms and investments, right? But more importantly, it challenges policymakers. This is what it's going to do for us. It's to challenge policymakers to align fiscal and monetary strategies, with this updated economic reality. For instance, if you know the true size and structure of the informal sector, that can help design targeted formalization policies that will encourage tax compliance without stifling growth. Also, recognizing the rise of real estate and telecommunication means prioritizing infrastructure, digital connectivity, and urban planning. And also, an increased GDP improves critical ratios like debt to GDP, which can enhance Nigeria's borrowing capacity and investor confidence. Of course, we don't expect that Nigeria uses this as a reason to keep borrowing for just any reason. It has to be for productive, purposes. However, if you're going to translate these numbers into improved living standards, it will require sustained efforts on productivity, governance, and inclusion. Now, in essence, the rebasing is both an accounting update and a call to action, a clearer, more honest mirror that shows Nigeria where it is, and it also hints at where Nigeria can go.
All right, Dr. Briam Reuben, thank you very much for joining us this morning and breaking this down to us as clearly as you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.